I'm Salaam Green, and I'm the first Poet Laureate, the inaugural Poet Laureate here for the City of Birmingham. I've been in Birmingham since 1999, but I'm originally from Greensboro, Alabama, which is part of the Black Belt. So I have two homes, and I'm excited to be in Birmingham and to do the work that I do here. Fun fact about myself, I am a rural girl who's living in an urban city. Some of the accomplishments I'm most proud of is I'm very proud of myself that later in life I found a space for myself in creativity. I started out in education as an early childhood educator with a master's degree in education, and for many years I worked in the education field. Like many people, I got burned out. And after that burnout, I really found a passion for poetry, a passion for creativity. So I'm very proud of being the first Poet Laureate here in the City of Birmingham, kind of paving the way for other Poet Laureates, but also doing advocacy for poetry. And I'm just very proud that I'm able to bring poetry intergenerationally through youth and adults here in the city. Yeah, I come from a long family line of educators. So my mother's a retired first grade teacher. My father was a teacher. My grandfather was a principal. So at the same school in rural Alabama, I had, my grandfather, my mother, and my father. And so basically, my life was centered around educators. And my first grade teacher was my auntie, so I think I was really inspired by having educators in my life, starting off really young with reading and with literacy as part of my life. I think also what really inspired me is I'm an introvert by heart, so I guess that's another fun fact. I kind of play an extrovert out here in the world, but I am an introvert, and part of that allowed me, while I lived in rural Alabama, to really find myself through poetry and through reading. So everything from nursery rhymes to Maya Angelou to Toni Morrison, just all those really the big greats, but really my parents and my mom who taught me through reading are part of my inspirations. I think Birmingham, is such a unique community. I think what I love the most about being part of Birmingham's community is that we have some of the most, I think, best talent here. We have some of the most skilled artists across all genres and domains of artistry. And I think the wonderful thing about Birmingham is its inclusivity and its diversity. But beyond that, I think the hope and the dream of knowing that, Birmingham has this storied past, but also moving towards the future of how we use that past of civil rights and social justice to bring creativity and innovation into today's society. So I think that's what I love most about Birmingham, seeing how youth are utilizing poetry, how youth are utilizing music, how youth are, utilizing, corporate America and technology to bring all these things together in a city that I think is part of America's landscape. Yes, challenges will come. So I tell people I started later in life on my creativity journey. In my late 40s now, and starting in my late 40s to move towards poetry out of all things. It's like, what's a poet? What's poetry? And how do we move towards a career in that? So in that, I really think some of the challenges that I would talk to a lot of people about, that it's never too late. And it's never too late to actually move towards whatever your passion, whatever your dream is in your life. Also, I am in recovery for depression and also for anxiety. And sometimes that stigma, particularly in Southern Black communities, is there. And so I talk a lot about how I am in recovery. I talk a lot about how even as an artist who's part of this landscape, depression and anxiety is something that I deal with on a daily basis and find ways to find hope through that. Yes, so the whole stigma that we sometimes have in the Black community around mental health, now I'm really excited that, we're kind of opening the doors up to the whole idea that, we can have support for mental health. Many years ago, when I first was diagnosed with depression, I found a women's writing class here in Birmingham. And I began to sit on this beautiful lady's red couch for many years, and I began to write myself back together again. And through that support of that women's writing class, um, I got a lot of encouragement because I never even knew what I was a poet and what poetry was, but at the time many were like, oh, you're a poet, you're writing poetry. But through that encouragement and that women's writing class and through the encouragement of other women who were kind of going through some similar things, I began to think about ways in which I could metaphorically take this red couch that had healed me out to others. So I started a literary healing arts business here in the city for many years. And through my own personal journey of going through counseling, trauma counseling, even medication, I would tell people I'm continually on medication, continually have been in trauma therapy. Is the longest relationship I ever had in my life is with my therapist, you know, and also continually to use writing as a tool for healing. Great question. Women of color in Birmingham, and I can't speak for all, but as a Black woman, what I would like to see for Black women, and of course for all women and of color as well, confidence, the continuation of creating what you're creating. I would love for to have some policy and some political kind of innovation towards that as well. I know we have a creative process and we have that already, but I would love to see women just continuing to do what they're doing and really using culture as a tool to interface social justice here in the city. Oh my gosh. The lessons never stop, number one. That I know, because like I get a multitude of lessons and I continue to learn and those kinds of things. The one thing I really learned is, and continue to learn, is that you always have a choice. And to always go back into what your core values are. Who are you? Who do you belong to? Who belongs to you? And as you go back to your core values, stick to those core values. Also, I think it's very important to know who you are. One of the things people oftentimes would say to me as a poet laureate, if I never write another poem, I am good enough. If I never have another person talk to me about poetry, I'm good enough. And that's the lesson that I've learned for myself, the lesson that I want to continue to give to women of color, Black women, Southern Black women who live in this city, Birmingham Black women, that you are good enough no matter what you do or you don't do. You have already done enough by just existing here in this city. Creative. You know, lots of people in the work that I do, also I'm an artist in residence at UAB, so I'll go into spaces with people and I ask them, do they want a poem? And most people are like, oh, I'm in the hospital, I want a poem, right? What's a poem? And other people are like, I'm not creative. So usually when you hear that word creative, it's always the antithesis towards it, I'm not creative. But creativity is your heart's expression of the greatest power of who you are. And I believe we all have this expression inside of us. And all creativity is the ability to express the power that lives inside of us. That's going to be kind of hard for like a literary person to say one word. I know, but I always ask people to do one word stuff as well. One word as an artist.
It could be a phrase or something that
some kind of statement or something. Divine. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So my debut collection of poetry is coming out April 15th. It's called The Other Revival. I've been working with black and white descendants of enslavement in rural Harpersville, Alabama, interviewing those descendants and have written poems about them. So I have a traditional book that will be published on April 15th, and more information will be coming forward with that as well. My book that I did for the City of Birmingham, Once Upon a Magic City, is available for free for anyone who would like to get copies. As the Poet Laureate, you can also have me come out to your school, come out to your organization, your corporate organization, events, workshops, forums, etc., to bring those books to you, but also to talk more about creativity and those kinds of things. And inside of those books, there is a wonderful poem about women for Women History Month. I would love to end by reading that, but you can also find me on Instagram at Literary Healer, The Literary Healer, and throughout social media, The Literary Healer, and my information about upcoming events will be there as well. We are the women. In the city of Birmingham, according to a 2020 census report, there are approximately 112,000 women. 51.4% of the population in Alabama is women. We are the women. Women who participate in peace and are essential to the economy, democracy, and are the modern trailblazers in our communities, churches, and the marketplace. We are the women. Women who have bravely blazed the path for our daughters, sisters, and all remarkable women. We are the women. Emerging, diving into oceans and oceans of liberation, we are the women. Magical, miracle working, powerful, breathing gifts of joy, we are the women. Women who rise up, take flight, shine our own lights, and care to brave new heights, we are the women. Justice-seeking women who speak out, move in solidarity, unity, and resistance, we are the women. We are the women. Women who shall always be heard. Women whose voices shall never be silenced. We are the women.